Welcome. The book is Rafa for Rafa Nadal and Jonh Carlin. Hi, my name is Oscar Ortiz. Oscardo. I am a Colombian man that's learning English. My purpose is read about the book Rafa for Rafa Nadal and Jonh Carlin. This purpose is my first step is my create this podcast about reading in English with the Colombian accents, but I don't my native language English. It's Spanish Colombian. It's Colombian Spanish. Do you listen to me? Tell me about my bad pronunciation, bad accent, bad idioms, my understanding, my reading, my regrets. I saw my intention is still best my try, so try my English. Please write in this comment area. Thank you.
Chapter 4 Uncle Tony. Ask Tony Nadal what is his words were his nephew before he left the Wimbledon locker room at the start of the 2008 final, and he'll tell no. I told him the battle and the end and endures. Ask him by why Rafa has made is to the top of the world's tennis, and he will replay because it's all the in the head, in your attitude and wanting more endurance, more that's the rival. Ask him what he said to Rafa on those days when the body rebels and the pain seems to agree to grit to compete on courts, and his reply will be, I say to him, look at you go to roads and chase from. Tell yourself you'll be hands enough and will live, or be prepared to suffer or keep going. The choice is between endurance and giving up. Endurance in the words Tony is an event Hamins into Nadal's surge from the very early age and express an Spartan philosophy of life uncommon on an island is and the country where in the pleasure when principle reigns. Tony come across the Spain from the early years, and if they were descended from the Gran Cortes and 15th century conquistador with London and Mexico with affairs and barely and huntsmen's burns his boats, he knows wood and temperate and flee the home, and after overcoming appalling reversion on strangers. Oaks deferred the Aztec Empire, claiming the treasure and the vast land on the Spain crown. Tony Sunsky built and solely with tears, powerful lets down like good conquistador material. Cold ace and resolution, he is the strange speaker, he is the make little visible efforts and united himself with those around him. He is the no unkind, and the ace is his family is the generous, and the fall with strangers who as the him for tickets of match or the which the journalist needs at the court. This town those closet to him, while unbendingly loyal, he can be moody, grave, and spoiled son. He knows the black sheep on the family because ostracism of the sometimes and the things keep Nadal do. As Carlos Costa, who knows the Nadal family well, say Tony is different. His grandpa's that's his brothers. More contrary, he is a normalizer moralizates, simply opinionate, always apps for are the arguments, but he is not kite as tough and the self-sufficient and conquistor and appearance may suggest there being tendency of the sports media or suggests that Rafa could be nothing without Tony. I could make the opposite case that Tony would be nothing without Rafa. Although Tom live their middle, Tony and Rafa are mutual dependents, those strange on the unwitnessless completeness its authors. They are more powerful together that each would be on the ons and ons. Tony also dreams he become a tennis champion and excellence in at the game is in the Jones established at the name for himself is the arms and the Mallorca finish. I also the island best table tennis player for the while, as well as the chess player of local recruits. He has the body and he has the brains, but when they became a tennis professional and left home to try to conquer to Spanish mainland, he discovered that while a steering player and handler and killer push, which appreciably the quality he strove harder to improve his younger chains when he took up coaching. Boys won, he thought, alongside he never recalled that where others coach highlighting the needs to control to the ball. Tony's emphasis was always the aggressive cultivation on winner. His himself cited the example of the golfers Jack Nicholson signs on the coaching video that his advice your young player was first hit the ball far, then will think about getting in the hole. In the hole, Tony took the lesson to heart and advised to the nephew right from the start with the 4 years old was first he at the ball hard that's will he about keeping on the end and then he said about the more challenging task the construction of mental armor platinum's competitor. He began and he means they continue on traitings the nephews with discussing and use and this company is the pairs. While required with the never to comply the boy Nadal trainings with recall that's where Tony Belovers under to him make him stay behind the pickup the ball their shape in the course after trainings we could bow his head the and do as we has told when the two trainers alone and the sun shines clearly of the one hand of the course. That was the hands whether Tony would tell Rafa to play. It's the start of the session. They were playing with the goods, some balls, Tony Wood's unexpectable produce and the one ons. The bear on the that's bones erratically and softly light left and the hardly being so good and all. And the human youth complementary theirs good said, the ball's mine, be tears rate, but you first rate. Well is the kind, is Tony saw it. We would we would play games with Rafa is the winter was the first the 20 points he would allow the assistant child to the get to 1910s and he risen to gains better into the post running his nephew days just they was the beginning the saber out thrill on unlikely little victory, the blows, the morals, and the relentless hearts. Discipline to which they submitted that all had the grand strategic purpose, teaching him to endure. Ton, Tony owns our relationship with the principle, the endurance on the other hands, and be contractors with the Tony and your brother Sebastian first hands present above upon then the virtues and the endurance during their tense they were away at boarding school in Palma and hours drive for Manacor. The school principal would preach and the pupil and length on the benefits of accepting life's inevitable trials or disappointments, less me mainly recently. The most important trial the brothers hands they submit I was the warrants fact the boarding school systems itself I away from their unusuality close, unusuality nutrients family. Sebastian lost the course he starts on the school until the end and the appointment time. Tony lasting years after which the ends and preparing to be alone, they return back home and the day consented later he began studying law history at university but dropping out before obtained his degree. After giving up his quest to become a successful professional tennis player, he returned home to Manacor to coach children at the town club. He has settled, having at the last found his Carlin and the spectator look fortune and nephew, who possesses and the middle and the good given family and the hand the no discovery and the other child before, or the wood again. From the way Rafa struck and ball his the natural same position and from the hints strange of the wheel, Tony quickly formed the impression that he had the future champion of Spain. Fate had the arrived on the family doorstep and he would make the most of it. Raven of the lesson has the learning from the hints our mystery and still he's the nephew of the habits to the winner helping him forget and future and the wars glorious and would be able legitimately at charity. Rafa's success has given Tony a strong sense and the vindication and encouraging him as they become immensely furtherly rest and the hue and the several and the his certitudes and the black hat Catholic in the Spain courts during the age of Cortes. But he seek no comfort to the afterlife on the benevolence divinity. The no Catholic himself, he is on the amendments, he is on the matters, all matters that religion and goodness and third, firstly, this meanings faith and good and the primitive magical birth or infantile on the new fair formers believe on the his uncle powered the rain. His story is unbendingly a doctrinary, however, in the view regarding in the way children should be brought up the problem, no, not always. He said, is the children had they become to the much the center of attention. Their parents, their families, everywhere around, they felt and they knew to put them on the pedestal. Some effort they investing on fine and the boasting their self-esteem that they are the made to feel special and they ultimately without having done anything. People get confused and they fail to grab that they know special because of the who you aren't, but because of the what do you do. I see it all the time of the times it's I turn off they make money and acquire they like payments and everything and they make easy to them and not cover do not over contradictions them they are accommodate in the every light details of the while. Well, I end up with the most unbearably spoiled brat. The supponents of the common in professionality sports that the surprise come is Tony views when they are Brian John Sportman's turn of the behave not like the brat, but idle and ordinary, thence the human being. Favor upon, surrealent and grappling, yes meant, sports figurates with the toll all times when the earth gods and they come they believe it's Rafa Nadal fits on the growth, civility, suits and the force from the expectant north never ceasing and the remark upon Anthony proved that everything and the weight Rafa Nadal was broken. He prepared him to be hard in this way where he and the end to superstar Tony and his parents would make them sure he he'd end up humble once, where he to be applause for the humility and often has been that's who would the designers and excessive price humbling is the way to have to do in period. Tony says there are no special merits and there was more and would not using the word humble to describe Rafael. He just knows that's place in the words. Everybody should know their place in the words. The point is the words is kite bit enough already are without the imagining that's John's big two. People sometimes exaggerate to business of humility, hence questions imply of knowledge with who you are, where you are, and that the words will continue exactly it's and the without you. Tony reflects and stems out the merits, suggestion and complementarity on all regrets and his nephews, thus not making him blind to the innate qualities or the influence his parents hands over him. He don't like he would have heard of badly of the our accords. He accords because of parents who is their own weight on the as much no sense people as the I am the because of the weight he is. He was always been obedience. What's the sign, the intelligence of the child? Because they show they understand that your elders knows better that's you. That's your respect their superiors experience of the world and do they think the raw material where we are working where he is the finished material but made at the mission and currents and tendency alone. I was to show his enormous potential and throw beyond his actual ability at the play what kind the people would they like to see the court someone who has personality but they know show out they don't like divas and you are the plenty who them the words of tennis wide and forgetting him ever to throw this racket on the ground during the match. Why? I always insisted on the need to put on the what's called and good face. When he plays calm and serious, not angry or irritable, why is the was always important to be sportive and gracious to opponents in victory and defeat. Respect for other people, for everyone's irrespectable on the mean be or what the mean do is the starting point for everything. Tony says, what no is acceptable is that people would have had the old in the time should become cordially with others peoples, not the hidden, the hidden. Are you the great your duty and treat people with the respect? They would have hate my nephew to have turned out with the other way that happens performance tantrum on court. To be hurlings with his opponents with the wall words watching on TV on the for the matters on the impolite with the umpires on the fronts. I always said he's the parents too and the um, more important to be a good person that's good players. Tony is enough of the good person himself and recognizement that the times I mean has gone. I am far to the one direction with Hugh Newfer and Hugh Nestor Tower. He is the training what the conscious and calculate strategy. He was an unfairly battling responsible Hugh Newfer early competitive success and Rafa hit the grave for hands during a match. Well, was a lot of words to do still the backhands and he hit the impressionist succession and stroke dipped towards the baseline you but what about his volley he won tournament he is was on the bill and decide what about his server. He haven't achieved anything yet. Tony would say, we need more and more. The rest of the family looked on the with visualment that in the case is the Rafa mother's occasionality gave way the angels. His father Sebastian had the hint misgiving his uncle Rafael wondering sometimes whenever Tony was punching his nephew to heart. With his good father and mother brothers Juan went far to decide what the Tony and doing the full amount the mentally cruelty. The Tony was the heart and the Rafa because he knew Rafa could eat it and the good heavenly drift and good no have applied the same principles he stands with the waker's milk child. With a maker, the waking child, the sense is the per heart and mine has been rights that stop the more the full members of his family from offline rebellion. One who did though Tony as Miguel Angel, the professional football player, and another discipline is the endurance principle, is the which he believed with the almost of the reverence of Tony himself. Miguel Angel says that the success of the elite sports rests on this capacity to suffer, even to enjoy suffering. Is meant learning to accept that if you have to train 2 hours to train 2 hours, if you have the train 5, you train 5, you have to repeat the exercise 50,000 times. You do it. That's what separates the championship from the merely talents and the old brilliantly relate the winner's mentality on the one sense that are demonstrative endurance has hate becomes strangers at things and receive the gift unless they come with the special sentimental attachments we don't values wherever the things to achievements by your own efforts your self allow the greatest to efforts and value to value. These arguments prevalate in my family at the last day point. That's no even Rafa mothers ever really confronting Tony and they told him the AC up on the child. They understood that happenings so many hours with Tony was wearing in the stream, but that's the two of them had visions or view where they could not live when less useful the tennis. Without eight others, the family muted with let Tony his the stuff respect to the sovereignty of their own kingdoms on Spartan regiments where no winnings was allowed was the Jonh warriors on the making was exposed the all manners of the test of the privileges and they was allowed no excuse but however legitimity where might be it was always his fault. He lost a game because he happens to do a crap and the brains hit racket. He didn't was the no and he plays boldly because and rack has the been strongly early enough and the ball when flying Tony remained impressing his temperature and he knew hard and he had the bad days at school. Nothing works on Tony. Rafa has the green to endurance.
Thank you for you listening. And my son, sorry, I my first day already read better, with more time and more time paciently. I am formed how bilinguals, Spanish and English. So sorry.